We resist, we refuse to let hatred in. We rise up, we won't back down. We're in this till the end. We resist, we refuse to let hatred in. We rise up, we won't back down. We're in this till the end. We resist, we refuse to let hatred in. We rise up, we won't back down. We're in this till the end. We resist, we refuse to let hatred in. We rise up, we won't back down. We're in this till the end. We resist, pray for your enemies to let hatred in. We rise up, show we won't back down. We're in this till the end. We resist, pray for your enemies to let hatred in. We rise up, show we won't back down. We're in this till the end. We resist, pray for your enemies to let hatred in. We rise up, show we won't back down. We're in this till the end. Pray for your enemies. Welcome the stranger. Show love to your neighbor. We're in this till the end. Pray for your enemies. Welcome the stranger. Show love to your neighbor. We're in this till the end. We're in this till the end.
Good morning. Welcome to the First Unitarian Church of Hamilton. My name is Doreen Knoll, and I am this morning's service leader. I want to thank today's service team, which includes Gail Rappold, Ashley Daniels, Tim Versteeg, Rachel Derry, Cindy Carey, Hamilton Zoom Choir, Reverend Jamie Boyce, and our technical team, John Elliott and Bruce McPherson. It takes a village. I also want to acknowledge the social justice team who worked together to create this service. The city of Hamilton is situated upon the traditional territories of the Erie, Neutral, Huron-Wendat, Haudenosaunee, and Mississaugas. This land is covered by the Dish with One Spoon Wampum Belt Covenant, which was an agreement between the Haudenosaunee and Anishinaabe to share and care for the resources around the Great Lakes. As settlers, we continue to benefit from the land and its resources. As settlers, we must ask ourselves how or if we have shared and cared for the earth and its gifts. Facing the truth is hard. Truth must come before reconciliation. We welcome you today, whatever the circumstances of your life, in the many ways we identify as people, and in the diversity of how we love and live. In this house of faith, we are all included as we search for truth, build community, and strive to make the world a better place for all. Come into this place of peace and let its silence heal your spirit. Come into this place of memory and let its history warm your soul. Come into this place of prophecy and power and let its vision change your heart.
Welcome to the First Unitarian Church of Hamilton. My name is Jamie Boyce. I have the great privilege of serving this congregation as its interim minister. We light our chalice this morning with these words from Dag Hammarskjöld. Each morning, we must hold out the chalice of our being to receive, to carry, and give back. Join me in our unison words as we light our chalice, the symbol of our shared faith. May this flame be our light of friendship and love. Join us as we sing hymn 170, We Are a Gentle, Angry People.
Number 170, We Are a Gentle, Angry People.
In 2015, First Unitarian Hamilton developed a social justice program from its mission statement focused on serving the community and inspiring action that heals the world. Since then, the work has focused on 3 social justice areas, partnering with a local community organization. We chose Eva Rothwell. Researching and advocating for affordable housing, including supporting Sacagawea Indigenous housing, and renewing our welcoming congregation status under gender and sexual justice. Over the past 7 years, we have become a congregation of increasingly generous people, giving money, giving time, and giving of ourselves to the work. To use Reverend Victoria's analogy of the babies in the river, we both rescue drowning babies and go upstream to prevent the problem of babies falling into the river. Some of us focus on service and monetary donations, some on advocacy, and some on both. In addition, we grow spiritually. We listen, we practice deep democracy, and we develop our self-awareness so that our service, witness, and advocacy come from our best selves and are based on data and on genuine needs and preferences of those whom we hope to serve. This morning, we ask, how do we engage with our community, grasp its diversity, its inequities, and bring our 8 principles to the work? What is our covenant with our local community? This morning, we ask you to go beyond today's reality. We ask you to create new images of Hamilton, the Hamilton community as a just society.
In a minute, I'm going to read the story Say Something by Peter H. Reynolds. Most of you will have heard it before, and some of you may wonder why I've read it a number of times. But this morning, I want to answer that question by having you consider how it fits with our 8 principles. As many of you are aware, we use a modified version of the principles for children's religious exploration. Recently, UU World Magazine published an updated version of these easy to understand principles, including a new 8th. I'd like to read these now and then have you consider how many of them are supported in the story. I'm going to drop them in the chat so you can see them and remember them in a moment. 1, each and every person is important. 2, all people should be treated fairly. 3, we accept each other and learn together. 4, everyone can search for truth. 5, everyone gets a say in the matters that affect them. 6, we work for peace and justice. 7, we care for the planet and all the life that shares it with us. And 8, we work to build a loving community that treats everyone fairly, whatever their skin color or group. Let's drop those in. World needs your voice. Mine? Yes, yours. Go ahead. It doesn't have to be perfect, as long as it's from the heart. You don't have to be loud. Powerful words can be a whisper. You can say something in so many ways, with words, with action, with creativity. If you see someone lonely, say something by just being there for them. If you see an empty canvas, say something with your brush. If you see an empty lot, say something by planting a seed and watching it bloom. If you see someone being hurt, say something by being brave. Hey, stop. If you see something beautiful, say something with a poem. And if you have a brilliant idea, say something with confidence. Eureka! If you want to show the world who you are, say something with style. If you are angry, Say something to help people understand. You made me feel invisible and that really hurt. I'm really sorry. If you see an injustice, say something peacefully. Inspire others to do the same. Sometimes you'll say something and no one will be listening, but keep saying what is in your heart and you will find someone who listens. Keep saying it. And you may be surprised to find the whole world listening. If you are grateful for being alive, quietly say something to the stars, to the universe. Some people find it easier to say something than others, but everyone has something to say. So when you're ready, say something. That's the end of our story.
So next, for context, here is a picture of Hamilton as we know it now.
Good morning, and thanks, Tim. The following few slides demonstrate context for the service this morning. We share some stark differences among neighborhoods and communities in Greater Hamilton using data from the 2016 census, Hamilton Community Foundation's Vital Signs 2021, the Code Red report in 2018, and Hamilton City data. If you want to learn more, there'll be links in Thursday's ACE in the social justice section. Let's start with a quick look at Hamilton's housing affordability crisis, which has been a focus of our work as a congregation. At the last census in 2016, more than a quarter of all Hamilton households faced housing costs that were not affordable. It was worse for households who rent. 45% of them paid more than they could afford, limiting what was left for other essentials. And since 2016, rents, as you know, have soared. This slide shows a jump of between 1/3 and 2/3 in rental rates for vacant one-bedroom units in Hamilton. Renters have less income than owners, and as this 2019 slide shows, they have far less wealth. Half of renters had a net worth of $24,000 or less. High rents and low incomes leave them with almost nothing. In sum, too many Hamilton households pay too much for housing. Among other impacts, that increases inequality. And as you know, it's getting worse. Climate change is already impacting Hamilton. The next slides will illustrate the current situation for downtown Hamiltonians and the projected effects of just one aspect of climate change, rising temperatures over the next 60 years. This shows the city's land use plan map. Focus and look for green space in the city downtown, and note there's almost none in that part of the city. This slide shows a graph of land use in Ward 3 Hamilton. We've chosen Ward 3 because of our connection with the Keith neighborhood and Eva Rothwell. Notice the amount of land use for green space is just 5%. And it's only that high because of the presence of Gage Park at the east end of the ward. The less natural vegetation that occurs in an inner city neighborhood, the greater the potential for a heat island effect. The lack of green space makes Ward 3 particularly susceptible to heat island effect. So what's heat island effect? Heat islands are in urbanized areas that experience higher temperatures than outlying areas. The built environment, especially asphalt, absorbs and emits more heat than natural landscapes. Heat islands are linked disproportionately to poor health outcomes, such as cardiovascular, renal, and pulmonary diseases. Here is an illustration of research by ECLEI Canada, commissioned by the city, for the projected temperature changes in Hamilton until the year 2080. Because of the heat island effect, this temperature rise will have a disproportionate impact on downtown residents who live in areas that lack parks and green spaces. Now, let's look at some health-related differences. This first graph shows results for neighborhoods in 5 quintiles. The bar on the left shows the 20% of neighborhoods with the lowest proportion of racialized residents. It had about half the rates of COVID infection, 81 per 100,000, than the 20% of neighborhoods with the highest percentage of racialized residents, almost 200 per 100,000. The rate of COVID cases also demonstrates difference between the wealthiest and the least wealthy neighborhoods. The 20% of Hamilton neighborhoods, only 99 per 100,000, was about half the rate of the most deprived neighborhoods, 179 per 100,000. Even though these numbers may have been lost on you, the pictures obviously weren't. Although this graph doesn't show huge discrepancy in lifespan because it shows groupings of neighborhoods, in the initial Code Red study, the gap in lifespan between the highest and lowest individual Hamilton neighborhoods was 21 years. 10 years later, sadly, it had grown to a gap of 23 years, from a high of 87 years in the wealthiest neighborhood to a shocking low of 64 years in the lowest income neighborhood. That number, 64, is lower than the average lifespan of struggling African nations like Eritrea and Malawi. We close this very brief snapshot of the inequities in our city with this quote on the screen from Code Red 10 years later. Many of you are aware of many other statistics and anecdotal stories about child poverty, food deserts, air quality, and accessibility that create a powerful image of the inequities in our community. We needed to begin with today's reality before moving to different hopeful images.
Thank you, Gail and Ashley. Our reading for today, there are 2 quotes. The first, a quote from Alex Coburn, quoting French anthropologist Claude Lévi-Strauss. If men have always been concerned with only one task, how to create a society fit to live in, the forces which inspired our distant ancestors are also present in us. Nothing is settled. Everything can still be altered. What was done but turned out wrong can be done again. The golden age, which blind superstition had placed behind or ahead of us, is in us. And further, a quote from John Nichols' piece on the legacy of Alex Coburn, published in The Nation. Alex taught me, he taught us all, that those were not blandly optimistic words. They are demanding. They suggest that we have fewer excuses than we thought, that this is the place, that now is the time, and that there is truth in the maxim that says, we are the people we've been waiting for. As a congregation, we do social justice work because our principles imply a vision of how the world should and could be. It can be useful and inspiring to periodically try to articulate that vision through readings, music, even prophetic imagining. So this morning, we will do that as part of our meditation. There will be a reading, silence for reflection, and a chant called We Resist. Immediately after the music, we will be broken up into groups of 4 or 5 to share with each other in words the images or pictures of a truly just society that is sustainable in all ways, and what it would look like in Hamilton. We ask that one person volunteer as a scribe in each group to gather the ideas and then send them in to social justice at uuhamilton.ca. Individuals are also welcome to send in their thoughts after the service. In Words, Imagine by John Lennon. Imagine there's no heaven. It's easy if you try. No hell below us, above us only sky. Imagine all the people living for today. Imagine there's no countries. It isn't hard to do. Nothing to kill or die for, and no religion too. Imagine all the people living life in peace. You may say I'm a dreamer, but I'm not the only one. I hope someday you'll join us and the world will be as one. Imagine no possessions. I wonder if you can. No need for greed or hunger, a brotherhood of man. Imagine all the people sharing all the world. You may say I'm a dreamer, but I'm not the only one. I hope someday you'll join us and the world will live as one.
I am a part of, you are a part of, we are a part of all that is good. In me a small flame, in you another. Join them together and light up the world. I am a part of, you are a part of, we are a part of all that is good. In me a small flame, in you another. Join them together and light up the world. I am a part of, you are a part of, we are a part of all that is good. In me a small flame, in you another. Join them together and light up the world. I am a part of, you are a part of, we are a part of all that is good. In me a small flame, in you another. Join them together and light up the world.
Thank you, everyone. We're going to have hymn number 1017 now. We are building a new world with Rachel.
Number 1017, Building a New Way.
We
Don McLean, by the authority of McMaster University Senate, I have the great pleasure to confer upon you the degree Doctor of Laws, honoris causa, in McMaster University with all the rights and privileges pertaining to that degree.
This will take less than 5 minutes. So beyond offering my sincere thanks to all those responsible for this honor, let me begin with a curious fact. This university, McMaster, which is granting me this honorary degree, actually arrested me 3 times for political activism on campus. In particular, for distributing a flyer opposing steep increases in the tuition fees of foreign students. What gives? What should we make of this? What's the lesson here? I'd suggest that it shows that the illegals can become the honored. I'd also advise from experience that getting arrested isn't nearly as scary as you may have been told, and that standing up for unreservedly for justice can transform a crime today into common sense tomorrow.
We thank you for joining our service today. And as we extinguish our chalice, we hold these words close in our heart. Nothing is settled. Everything can still be altered. We extinguish this chalice, but not the fire in our hearts until we meet again.